Welcome to my video. In this video, I want to show you how I would go about reading a birth chart, and maybe you want to try reading one yourself, so this might help. So let's get started. Here is a sample or test chart that I made up, basically a fictional person. And the first thing I will probably do to start reading this, there's two ways I will probably go about it. It just depends. The first way, I could start with the big three, which is sun, moon, and rising. Sun, moon, and rising. So here we have the sun sign, which everyone, I think, almost everyone is familiar with. The sun is your core self. Of course, it's far from the entire chart, as you can see. But the sun is your core self. It can also be, it can be your ego as well. And in this case, it's in Virgo. So automatically, this person's core self is going to be a analytical, practical type person. And the moon is over here in Libra. So emotionally and instinctually, they're going to be someone who is basically open to new ideas. They can entertain all aspects or all sides of a debate. Um, a people pleaser, I guess, might be one way to put it. Now, also, since it's so close to Scorpio, Scorpio's energy is going to be influencing that. It's still a Libra moon, but it's going to have a Scorpio influence. So that's going to add things like passion, secretiveness. It's going to have a mixture of that with that people pleasing. It's going to have a slight mixture of that in with the primarily people pleasing and open mindedness of their emotions and instincts. So now the rising, or the outer self, the image of self, or how others view others, the first impression that other people get of this person, that is in Gemini. The first house is Gemini in this case. So Gemini is going to be, their outer image is going to be someone who is basically talkative. They might bounce around from subject to subject. They don't really stay strictly on one thing. That might be how that could be seen. But now that is just the big three. And as you can see, that is just a really minor part of this whole chart. So the other way I might go at this and try going into this or start reading a chart is just to jump in. Whatever pops out at me, just start analyzing it. So in this case, if I approach it like that, then first thing that pops out right here in the fifth house, we have Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And the Sun and Mercury is in Virgo. So the fifth house is like the area of life involving someone's pleasure, fun, children. The Sun being there is going to mean their core self is going to be heavily involved with that area of life. It's going to be quite prominent. Mercury being there, it's going to be on their mind a lot. They're going to talk about it a lot. Venus being there, it's going to add beauty and love to that area of life. So Venus being there, That could also indicate that they are really going to be into their. Actually, all three of these is going to indicate that their life is really going to be revolving around their children. I would say there's a really good chance of that. The other thing, let's see. Yeah, this jumps out. Jupiter in the first house, in the rising sign, basically. So Jupiter is going to bring fortune, good luck. Not guaranteed, of course, but fortune, good luck in general. That's the type of energy to their how people see them. So that Gemini nature of them being talkative, can't focus on one thing, always bouncing around. That first impression could actually be getting some positive energy and actually turn out to be a lot better than it possibly would be otherwise because of that good luck and that fortune and even a little bit of wisdom mixed in there with that. So that will be a positive thing, I would say. Um, then there's this T-square configuration right here. That pops out at me. And when I see that, it's Jupiter, the Sun, and Pluto. Now, I'm not going to get real in depth into this because this that ain't what this video is going to be about. But a T-square is basically three squares, or actually two squares, and then an opposition. That indicates a lot of tension. So their first impression, their house of self, there's going to be a lot of tension between that, them, and their, well, let's just say their pleasure, their children, that part of their life, and their partnerships and relationships. There's going to be a lot of tension there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but it is challenging and it's something that will have to be worked through. Something else that pops out, well, but actually, before I go on, let me mention the 7th house here. On the 7th house, where Pluto is, the other part of this T-square here, Pluto in the 7th house is relationships, partnerships in general. Sagittarius there, that's gonna could possibly make it more philosophically oriented. Their relationships could even possibly make it a little fun relationships. Pluto here, Pluto is going to bring a possibly bring a sense of like a power dynamic. They might try to dominate the relationships. Hopefully it wouldn't get into a matter of control. This T-square could possibly shove it into that sense if they didn't know about it and try to work through it. But yeah, it could go that to the negative side like that and become a manner of control in the relationships. It could turn into that, or it just could stay more neutral and be like dominance in the relationship. Chiron there means that they've probably had issues with the relationships earlier in life. Hopefully they've worked through it. If they haven't, then it's something they need to work on. But because Chiron is known as the wounded healer, they would be in a really good place to help others if they manage to overcome that, heal that wound. They could really help others with relationships. Another thing that pops out is this grand trine. If you look at the degrees, yeah, it's close enough to be a pretty good grand trine between Neptune, Saturn, and Venus. Basically, that's not tension. They work really well together. So that sense of love and beauty in the way they have fun and involving their children and stuff, that beautiful thing is very working well with their creative philosophy and higher learning that they do. The way they learn at a higher level, that creativity that's involved with it because of Neptune. That's working well here with Venus, and it's working well with Saturn. Saturn, with the restrictive nature of Saturn. Um, so anyway, I'm not going to get real in depth in this chart. I just want to basically show you how I would go about this, diving into a chart to read it. You can start with the big three, or you can just jump right in at whatever looks obvious. I would say if you do like an actual chart reading, would probably take it would take several hours possibly to go through this. You're looking at the degrees, all the aspects. You would actually analyze and study how, like, every single one of these lines, um, the degrees, houses, all that stuff. The lunar nodes that involves like your destiny, your where you're comfortable, but where you have to get out of that comfort and go toward what your destiny is in this life. This is the North Node right here. I've been talking for I think like 10 minutes already, and so I don't want this video to be that long. So yeah, I'm not going to get into all that. This is just brushing the surface. So yeah, it would take hours to actually be thorough and not leave anything out, basically. Um, One thing I do want to mention here real quick is the birth time. This right here is 11:01 p.m. Now, if I move this, as the time moves, goes throughout the day, the signs and the planets will go around. They will go around the circle like this, but the ascendant and the descendant, this center horizontal line, always stays the same. And depending on the house system, which that's a more advanced topic, the houses stay generally the same. So all of this moves, but this center line here, the ascendant, stays the same. So your houses roughly stay the same. 11:01 p.m. Now what happens if I move it by 20 minutes? (11:01, 11:21). Notice what changes. Not a lot. Rising sign still Gemini. Moon is still 6th house Libra. Most everything's the same except the sun. Notice, here's the original. Sun is right here in Virgo in the 5th house. 20 minutes later, it's in the 4th house. So normally that wouldn't be a big deal, but since you have the sun, since the sun is such a powerful point, it really wouldn't change a whole lot normally, but since the sun is such a powerful point, if it's it's actually changing. The sun in the 5th house will be more about pleasure, your children, personal pleasure, whatever. You move it to the 4th house, now all of a sudden your core self just changed. It's still Virgo, still has the analytical nature to it, but it is changing more into the home life and the family life in general than your own personal self, your own personal pleasure and how you're relating to your children and all that stuff. It's actually changing it, your core self, a little bit. Just 20 minutes. Now that should tell you something about how important it is to get the birth time exactly right. You really need it down to the exact minute if you can. But I do know a lot of times the birth times, if you look at the birth certificates, they might be rounded to, instead of 11:21, it might be 11:30, or instead of 11:01, it might be 11. That's still going to be accurate, and that's still good that you have that, but it might be slightly off, like something like that. Like one planet might change from one house to the other or something. So if you don't have your birth time, that is going to be more of, you would have to do something called a chart rectification. I currently, as of recording this video, I don't do chart rectifications, but that is something where you go through your life, your personality, your life's history with someone, and they will try to match the houses to the right signs and planets to where it lines up properly. And basically, it's guessing your birth time, but basically, remember how everything spins, the planets and signs spin, but the houses stay the same. They will be matching up, in this case, Gemini in the first house. Well, does Gemini match their outer image? Are they someone who is um, talkative and they bounce around from topic to topic, perhaps? Does that match them, their first impression? Or does another sign match their first impression better? And you will go around, and it would probably take a while, but you would analyze and try to match everything up to where it lines up and matches them. That's a chart rectification. So anyway, I hope this helps. I've already been talking for quite a while now. I hope this helps. Yeah, like 17 minutes. But anyway, I do offer chart readings. If you're interested, check the description for details. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. And feel free to comment. And thanks for watching.